Okay, thanks everybody for coming. So tonight I'm going to talk about how you can make your YouTube videos more professional. The motivation behind this was because a while back a couple of people said just the comments on the videos saying lots of ums and ahs and not enough content. And I thought, instead of getting upset about that, I thought, well, how can I improve the content? So here we are trying to see how to take the content that we do in the meetups and then how to re-record it so that we can get something that looks a bit more professional. Because, like, as you can see, there's all these bubbles for all the people who are watching this. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is, this is kind of a discussion sometimes. So, we do get people asking questions and we want people to ask questions and then pipe in with their opinions, which is great. So that's good for a meetup audience, but it's not necessarily good for a YouTube audience. So it had me thinking about how do I fix it so that if somebody comes to YouTube and comes across the video that that they can see something a bit more professional. Also, these these tend to go on for like 40 minutes to an hour, and you're asking a lot for somebody on YouTube to spend that amount of time, especially in this day and age, to get through all the content. So thinking about tightening up the content, making it shorter, just doing a better job for the YouTube audience as opposed to the meetup audience. Okay, so the agenda is as per usual. So the news, the stuff that happened this month, we're up to 625 members, excuse me. So that's great. And then we'll do the main part of the agenda, and then next month, I want to do the ChatGPT agents. I don't know if there is any programming we can do in that, but I can't resist it. It just seems so amazing. To see if we can use the ChatGPT agents. There's also something similar on Anthropic, but it really looks like the ChatGPT agents for getting day-to-day work done just seems way too good to not want to kick the tires. So the news this month, ChatGPT's agent is now OpenAI's attempt at a digital assistant, so it can browse and take actions on your behalf. Gotta look at that next month, like I said. So I put Voxtral in there. So that is Mistral's cheaper alternative to ElevenLabs, and all the stuff I'm doing today is to do with voices using ElevenLabs. I didn't use OpenAI's voice agents because I'm trying to re-record the videos using my voice. So if I wanted to just re-record the videos and have a generic cloned voice, that would be something. But really what I want to do is clone my own voice and use that. So that somebody comes there, they'll know it's me, and they'll get used to the content, and kind of like it's my branding partly. So I want to make sure that that's okay. And then there was a X's Grok 3 update. Didn't seem to go so well. A couple of real issues with that. So hopefully they iron out their issues soon. Not something that I played with a lot. Grok 3, I know back in the day it was better than DALL-E for images, but I really haven't played with it since then. If anybody's got anything that any opinions on something we should try with Grok, then reach out. Okay, so where are we? So re-recording your YouTube videos. So I'm going to talk about what the motivation is, talk about the before and the after, what I'm looking for, what the thought process is in my head. We'll talk about the pipeline, and then some caveats, and then some of the next steps that I've opened up, because basically, and I've gone through this, I've realized, well, there's some really cool things that we could do with this. So, I could do different languages, we could do A/B testing. So, when it comes to the extra stuff we can do, there really isn't much manual intervention. When it comes to the actually re-recording, I haven't ironed out all the manual steps yet, because just the nature of how it summarizes the text that we get from the YouTube transcript isn't necessarily what you want to put out there. And then but definitely when the next step. So you could do a lot of stuff with A/B testing, and then with different languages, all automated. So that's pretty cool. There is one issue that I have. And that's another reason why I want to re-record the YouTube video. So we live stream this. So when we live stream this, the live stream has the audio. So if I play you an audio clip, you're not really going to be able to hear that audio clip, because the live stream has everything that we has control of the volume. So when I want to re-record it, basically I want to show a lot of the audio too as well. But I did want to show just real quick the differences between the two. So let me just back out of this. Okay, and on the meetup today, I did give you the excuse me, I did give you the before and after. I wanted to just make sure that you had access to all of the same things, and I will show stuff. So this is the let me do this. So this is the video that we're trying to do before and after. So this is the marketing automation. We did this a few months ago. As you can see, it's got all the people over this side. Not necessarily great when people are coming to YouTube to try and see what's going on. Some, you know, the text is really small. There's a lot of stuff in there that I don't know, I could have missed out. And yeah, I do ums and ahs a lot. That's just kind of the nature of who I am. So the first version, the before it is 40 something minutes, 47 minutes. And then the new version that I did, which is it's basically it's the same slides, but all I have done is I have just tightened them up. I've gone to use this app called Gamma.app, so I'll show you about that. And then basically I've got that to give me a nicer look and feel, makes it look more professional. And you can't hear the text, but it's basically, it's me summarizing what I said in the original, much longer 47-minute version. If you do want to play with those links and you want to hear that, here's two that you should look at. And I will drop some more links into the chat as we go along so that you can play along with me too as well. Okay, let's get back to where we were. So again, motivation. So what's my motivation? Meetup audience is not a YouTube audience. You guys are great, but this lives on for however many years before, you know, it kind of like disappears off the algorithm. And answers. I mess up from time to time, so the demo gods really have no mercy. So I want to make sure that, you know, I get snappy recordings rather than the rambling recordings that sometimes happen. Another thing that happens is just what happened there, where somebody tries to come in, which is more than welcome, but it kind of interrupts stuff. Another thing that happens is we want to update obsolete content. So one of the highest, we do two meetups, one's on drones and one's on OpenAI. The one we do on drones, I'm redoing a tool called ATAC because the content was obsolete. So it would make sense for me to just take the previous content and just replace it with a new uploaded video rather than doing something from scratch, because then I get to continue with the analytics that I had before. People see that a lot of people have looked at it. You get to see the comments, so that's a good way of doing it. Removing irrelevant slides. So I talked about the news at the start of this, and that, you know, maybe that's people don't want the news. The news is going to be obsolete next month anyway. Nobody's really going to care about Grok 3 updates in 6 months' time. Make it more professional, and then also add more languages. So ElevenLabs will do quite a few different languages. Certainly I can increase my audience by doing it in Spanish and French. So there's lots of different ways that we could reach out to more folks. So I think that's a pretty good way of doing this. And my Spanish is awful. My French is better, but it's still not perfect. But I can basically get over that barrier using ElevenLabs. And also, again, increase our audience. And there have been times, like I said, when the demos have failed. Like last month when I needed to play a recording and I couldn't because we needed the live stream was taken over the audio. So we had audio issues too as well. So I did show you the before and after. If you want to go play with that, I am genuinely impressed with ElevenLabs. The conversation does sound a bit stilted. So it sounds basically like I'm reading it out from, you know, from some notes. But it can say things like ChatGPT and OAuth, like for OAuth 2 for authentication, for authenticating into websites without any problem. So I thought that I'd have to phonetically spell a lot of the things, and I really didn't. In fact, I found a number of the errors. So the first time I re-recorded this, there was a number of errors, and it was basically because I hadn't fixed the summaries correctly, which is what I'm feeding into ElevenLabs to do the recording. So as a, let me see if I can just get you the link, and I'll drop it into the slides. Let me get out of this again. So I wanted to show you again, because I can't really play it, but I wanted to just drop this into the chat so that you can hear the kind of, you're obviously hearing my voice now, so you can hear, how close it is. And you can, so I put that in the chat if you want to play around. So this is just a random slide that I picked, slide 33. Because basically what we do is we split everything into different slides. We record the audio for each slide, we record the video for each slide, and then we merge everything together. It's just actually what we're doing. So I'm getting ahead of myself. So this is our pipeline, and I'm giving away all the code as I always do. And in the resources, there is a link to the GitHub repo, which is github.com/re-recording, github.com/godfreynolan/re-recordings, and everything's in there if you want to use this and play with it later. So the first thing we want to do is we want to download the transcript. So everything's on YouTube. So YouTube, there's a Python library called YouTube Transcript API, which will allow you to download the transcript. There is a manual step in here. So basically what you have to do is you have to go through your video and say, here's where the first slide started and here's where the second slide started all the way to the end of the slides. So that's annoying. I have to see if I can fix that. Haven't got through that yet. So we have an Excel spreadsheet, which basically controls a lot of things, which says, here's when the first slide starts, here's when the second slide starts. I don't want to show the new slide, so I have a column in there that just has 0 to say, don't show that. And then we want to summarize each slide. So a lot of what I say can be boiled down by ChatGPT into bullet points. So I just have a prompt saying, remove the ums and ahs, give me the bullet points for what I said, and that becomes the summary that we pass to ElevenLabs, which is what we use for our re-recording. Going to redesign the slides. I'm using Gamma.app at the moment. I've been using that on a lot of the slides over the last 12 months. It has like a pretty nice interface. It generates a lot of the images that we've used. It generates a lot of some of the cooler kind of workflows, which I'll show you when we get there. I'm thinking I might move on from that because, again, there seems to be a lot more manual steps in there. I think Gamma.app are, they have two parts of it. One is where they basically regenerate the entire slides, or they just kind of give you a better visual impact for what your slides are. And the visual impact isn't that good, so you have to regenerate the slides, which tends to be a lot more work. But it gives really nice professional looking slides, which we'll show in a second. Then you have to create your own voice. So you go to ElevenLabs, and in ElevenLabs, there is an option to use as many voices as you like. And there's also an option if you pay the, whatever, I think it's $50 a month. I'm paying the $99 a month because I wanted more credits, because I'm going to do a lot of these videos and redo a bunch of them. So they give you 5,000 credits, which is 5,000 words a month, 500,000 words a month. So I pay the $99. So as part of that, I get to create a new voice. You take 5 minutes of your voice, put it into ElevenLabs, it comes up with something that's pretty close to what your actual voice is. So kind of scary, really. But what I did was I took probably about 3 or 4 hours of my videos on YouTube, downloaded them and put them into ElevenLabs and use that to get a better version of my voice. So then we're going to re-record the audio. So we take our summarized slides, we pass them via an API to ElevenLabs, and it re-records the audio in whatever voice that you choose. In this case, it's my voice. And then the last step is that we merge the audio with the slides. So we're using YouTube Transcript API, we're using ChatGPT, we're using Gamma.app, we're using ElevenLabs, and then the last merge is done with FFmpeg. So that's, I think FF is Fast Fourier. So basically it's a command line tool that allows you to just basically merge all the videos together. So you can chop videos, you can do lots of different things. You can replace audio with FFmpeg. But for us, what we're doing is, as we re-record the audio and the video, we're doing it by slide, and the FFmpeg is just taking all those slides and merging them all together. Plus, we have a call to action on the last slide, which we've never really done before, which is sign up for our newsletter here, which is usually what Mike and me kind of add at the end of the meeting. Okay. All right. So like I said, code is, we're going to give away all the code. This is the download transcript. We've done this a few times before. essentially, this is the overview of everything that we're going to do for downloading the transcript and getting all the summarizes. So the first thing that it calls is it says generate summaries. So generate summaries, we pass it in the video ID, so that's the YouTube ID. We pass it in the spreadsheet. Spreadsheet is going to tell what the start time and the end time is, or the start time for each of the different slides, because you don't really need the end time, because the end time is the next slide. We have an output folder, and then generate summaries is going to basically call summarize, and summarize is going to call ChatGPT to get all the stuff. So let me show you with the code what it looks like. So here's where the code is. So what we do is we have a presentation folder, and within the presentation folder we have the PowerPoint, which is the whatever the Gamma.app version of the PowerPoint is, and then we have the Excel spreadsheets, which is going to tell us when each of the slides starts and whether we want to keep them or not. So the spreadsheet looks like this. I did at one stage want to keep the slide name in there, but I found I didn't need it. So basically all you need to do is just start with slide 0, figure out what the times are for each of the start times, and then whether you want to keep it in there or if you don't want to keep it in there. Yeah, agenda, nobody cares, but basically most of the other stuff that I wanted to keep. Okay. So at this stage, what we've done is we have downloaded the transcript for each of the different slides. And then what we want to do then is so here's where my YouTube transcript API. So build the time ranges for each of the slides. So I've gone out to the spreadsheet. So I'm basically just building up a little array to say here's when each of the slides starts. And then I want to process each slide. So as processing each of that slide, what I want to do is summarize it. So I take the YouTube transcript is going to give me for the first whatever, how many seconds was it there? So for the first 11 seconds, I don't really care. So it's going to go from 11 seconds to 2 minutes. It's going to take that text from the YouTube transcript, and I'm going to pass that to ChatGPT, and ChatGPT is going to give me a summarized version of what I actually tried to say. The prompt is pretty simple. I say create a summary for the following slide as if you were the one presenting, because I wanted to pass it to ElevenLabs, so ElevenLabs is actually talking like I would be talking. So it's first person, not second or third person, and I want to get rid of any ums and ahs. Didn't quite get there because for some reason ElevenLabs decides to put in ums and ahs on its own, which I thought was okay because it's trying to make the conversation as natural as possible, I guess. Okay, so let me show you what one of the summaries looks like. So as we run through this, there's a bunch of different things. So I showed you where the presentation is. So that's where the slides are. We have the summaries. So for each of the slides, it's basically creating a summary. So for the first slide, it is ChatGPT has given me this. So this is what I said. Hello, I'm Godfrey Nolan, here to talk about your favorite project, marketing automation. And you have to go through each of these summaries to make sure that it's saying what you expect it to say. As it gets towards the real meat, I start to get much more concise, which I think if I was going to do it again, I would probably front end as much of the technology I can and keep the conversational stuff till the end, because I think that's what people are really interested in on YouTube. Okay, so where are we? Let's get back to where we were. So we have our summaries now. The thing we want to do is we've downloaded the transcripts. For each of the slides, we have a summary. We need to redesign the slides. So the original slides weren't great. I am an engineer, and oh my God, can you see that I am? So here are the original ones. I'm doing the same thing tonight, but hey, guess what? I'm going to re-record this one too. So it's kind of like, okay, it's better than just having it on a white background. But there's not a lot of graphic design in here. So I am not a graphic designer, and I don't even play one on TV. So what I did was I passed this into Gamma, and I asked it to give me a better interface. I'm not doing the second slide, so I didn't bother updating that. But instead of us having that kind of weird pipeline, it now gives me this, and it gives me a flow. It also generates some text, so sometimes it's really good because it comes up with points that you may have forgotten about, and it's worth including. But it's a matter of opinion, but I think this is a hell of a lot better than the engineering style that I had before. So where is Gamma.app? So let's go up to Gamma.app. This is the first example that I had. I had to do it a few times. But if we go home, I can show you how it works. We go create new, import file or URL. Let's take the files that we're doing now. That's as good as anything else. So the one that we're using for this meetup. I think with the version that I have, it's only going to do 10 slides, but that's going to be enough to show anyway. So we have two types. We have transform content or visual import. Visual import isn't quite there yet as far as I'm concerned. You can see it's in beta. So I always do the transform content. I want it as a presentation. And then it will go, yeah, I've got 20 cards in there. Let's see what it generates. Probably will replace Gamma.app as I go on doing this. I think it's pretty nice, but it's got a mind of its own. And a lot of times really what you're trying to do is just get it to use the content that you have and get it to not add lots of different content. So basically what it's doing in the background is it's generating images using whatever DAL-E, and then it's also generating a lot of text. And it's the stuff that it's doing with the text is may not be what you want. So, but it is, it's pretty quick. You have to basically play around with the images to make sure that the images are where they should have been in the first time. There's not much point in me there trying to show you what the code is because you can't actually see it. But as a start, I think it's a pretty good way of definitely from an engineer to give you a better look and feel for what you're trying to do for your slides. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Okay. And then what you do then is you just export this share it as a PowerPoint, and then download it and start fixing it yourself. So that's another manual step. So we've had two manual steps so far. We have had the step, which is the one where we're basically fixing all the summaries for each of the slides so that ElevenLabs is going to say something coherent. And then the second thing we're doing is that we're redesigning our slides. Okay, what did I miss? So you upload the PowerPoint to Gamma. Maybe when I re-record this, I'll find a better solution, but this is the solution that I have so far. So here's the original slide from the meetup that we showed you, and then this is the one that it came out with, the version that it came out with. I would probably take a lot of this text out. There's a lot of text on this slide, and then put it in the notes and just keep it as succinct as possible. There's too much going on for people to. It's too much cognitive overload going on here. Okay, but it looks better than what I did. All right, so then the next thing we want to do is we want to create our own voice. So if you sign up for ElevenLabs, there's a free version, and the free version gives you tokens that you can use to on the voices that they give you. But if you want to have your own, what I would call here the professional voice clone, you have to go for you have to go for paid plan. I think you can get away with like $20 to do this, but we're a number of videos that we're trying to record. We're going to need the $99 a month plan. We just kept on running out of credits, so I didn't want to wait months. That gives you 500,000 credits, so that's 500,000 words. That's a lot of words, so you can do an awful lot with that. If you want to get multiple voices, that it's going to cost you more money. So you can see how they do this. You can get an instant voice clone. So if you just give it 10 seconds of audio, will give you something that's kind of sort of like your voice. I didn't like it, so I definitely wanted to go professional voice clone. And then I had to upload. It says 30 minutes, but I gave it hours of stuff, and then I churned on that for a while. And after a while, I came out with something that was pretty similar to what my voice is. Okay. So here you have there's lots of different voices. I played around with a few, but on OpenAI, I think we have about a dozen now, but here there's dozens and dozens. There's people who've recorded their voices, so you can use other people's voices too as well. And then the one is just, I created my voice. So you go create or clone a voice ID. I've already done it, so I can't do it twice. and then you just upload the videos that you recorded or whatever audio that you have for yourself. It does ask you, it wants to make sure that it's actually you. So when you're done with it, it wants you to voice. So it's not like you can take 30 minutes of somebody else's voice and pretend to be them. It won't let you do that. So they have little things in there that will stop you from, doing something that you really shouldn't be doing. So what you want is you want the voice ID. So that's what we're going to use in our code to be able to pass the summaries into the ElevenLabs API using that voice ID to get it to start sounding like me. And if you want to hear what it sounds like in comparison to my voice, I did drop the version in the chat. So if you want to check it out on the random slide, if you see if you agreed or not. Okay, so we've created our own voice. Now what we want to do is we're almost there. We want to re-record the audio. So we want to re-record the audio. We want to merge it first with the slides. We're going to have, you saw the summaries, I had lots of different slides, lots of summaries for lots of different slides. So I also now have lots of different slides. Again, we're using that Excel spreadsheet to show which ones that we want to use and which ones that we don't want to use. And then finally, what we want to do for each of the audio and video for each slide, we want to merge all the audio and video together into a giant output, which is going to be the new recording that we're going to put on YouTube. All right, so we have another few steps that we have to do. So to re-record the videos, we want to edit the summaries. So for however many slides that you have, you got to make sure that you keep the human in the loop. So if you, as with all AI, if you use I heard somebody use the term the other day, if you take the approach of human on the loop, where you're just running the machine, you are going to fail. So human in the loop has to be there. These tools are great, but they are not 100% perfect. So you got to make sure that you are checking everything, because it is just so easy to say, well, we just could record the summaries, put the slides up, put it up on YouTube. And then a few weeks from then, somebody says, what was that weird thing you said on YouTube? So you got to make sure that there's a human in the loop each time to put everything together. You got to test, make sure that whatever the recording is coming out as coherent as it should be, because otherwise nobody's going to listen to your stuff. Somebody's going to put a bad review on your YouTube. So do not turn your brain off. Make sure that your brain is on when you're trying to do this stuff. And I agree, it's really easy to just turn it off, but you can't, because it'll just generate garbage. Okay, so we're going to edit the summaries. So each of the different slides, we're going to make sure that they are in a format. Basically they're snappy little sentences. Don't worry about anything phonetically, like ChatGPT, it'll pick it up, or OAuth, any of the terms that I put in there, Salesforce, whatever, it just picks it up. So don't worry about that. We need to split the PowerPoint into images. So we're using two things for this. I did this on WSL, which is the Ubuntu on Windows 11 box. So this will work on Windows. We also have in the README how to use it on a Mac, or if you're on a Linux box. I probably could get this going on Windows 11, but when I tried to do it, it just didn't work as well. So LibreOffice is what we're using to interact with the PowerPoint. So LibreOffice is the open source version of PowerPoint, or open source version of the Microsoft products. It will work with Word and Excel and PowerPoint. So I'm using that to basically open the spreadsheets, open the PowerPoints. And then what I do is I take the PowerPoint and convert it into a PDF using, I think it was using, LibreOffice does that. And then when we have the giant PDF of all the different slides, we want to split those up, and we use a program called ImageMagick. LibreOffice and ImageMagick are both free, open source. So you can download them, get them to run on your Windows box using WSL. And then the last thing that we want to do is merge the new slides and audio together, and we're using FFmpeg to do that, which again is a command line tool that we can use. Okay, so here's the code. What I wanted to do is I basically condensed all of the different functions just to get you an overview. So here is the code, and it's called in the following order. So we convert the PowerPoint to PDF and images. So we pass in the PowerPoint, whatever the PDF path is, the image directory. So it's basically going to take the PowerPoint, change it to PDF, and then change that to images. we're going to generate that's called next is generate all audio, and generate all audio calls generate audio for each slide. So we're going to do the audio for each slide. And the next thing that we're going to do is generate the video for slides. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to take the audio that we just generated and put it into the video. And then we have an extra file that we want to add in there too as well, which is the call to action, and we just plonk that onto the end of the videos. And then we concatenate the videos, which gives us our final output, and that is using FFmpeg. Okay, so install LibreOffice and ImageMagick. So the first thing that we do is we have this S-Office, which is from LibreOffice. So that converts our PowerPoint to PDF. And then we have our second thing, which is ImageMagick, which converts the PDF to a series of PNGs. So basically, we have our summaries for each of the different slides. Now we have our slides as a PNG. I will say, and I will show you in a second, the only real problem, all of this was pretty straightforward. You know, there wasn't a lot of tweaking or banging my head against the wall like there often is when I'm trying to do stuff with LLMs. This stuff just kind of worked. The one thing that didn't work out of the box was ImageMagick. So ImageMagick has a policy.xml file, and it probably took me about an extra 30 minutes to figure out how to get convert to work, which was called Magic before, but the new version is called convert. So that's the first thing. And then the policy.xml by default doesn't have enough memory and doesn't do anything with PDFs. So you have to change the policy.xml file to add more memory, and also to just take out the default that it won't work with PNGs or with PDFs. Okay, so now what I'm doing is I'm basically taking each of these different functions and exploding them so you can see what's doing. So the first one was convert PowerPoint to PDF and images. The second one is generate the audio for the slide. Okay, so what we're doing is we're basically passing in the slide number, and then we are generating an audio, which is going to be in another folder, which is just the audio for each of the different slides. How do we generate the audio? So we're using the ElevenLabs API. We're passing in the voice ID. We're also passing in the 11 API key. So that's the API key that you get when you generate when you have the paid version. So if you go to developer.elevenlabs.io, you can get your API key. The model that I'm using is the V2. There is a V3 out now, which is supposed to be a lot better. Got to tell you, I didn't have a lot of success with that. It didn't keep my voice, but it may just be that I'm not used to it enough. I put the stability at 0.5, which means that it's just like in OpenAI. It's going to be a little bit random, but not very random. And then the similarity boost, I put all the way up to 75.75, which meant it's going to be very like what my voice is. And then we basically save out all the different audio. So now we have the audio. So we have the audio and we have the PNGs. So video for slide, what we're going to do is basically take this audio, take this MP4, we're going to merge them together, and then we're basically going to concatenate the videos at the end. So this is using this FFM path here. Now, in the past, you needed to have a PhD in order to use FFmpeg. It's like, I have no idea what all these different parameters are and all the different things that it's supposed to be. What on earth are we doing and how do we get it to work? So basically, you just say, you tell ChatGPT what you're trying to do and ask it what's the command for FFmpeg, and you put it into Python, something similar to this. So you're passing in the image path, the audio path, and the video path, and it will basically just take care of it for you. And if it doesn't work first time, just ask GitHub Copilot to fix the error, and it'll work the second time. So the black magic of FFmpeg is a thing of the past. So okay, so like I said, we're using FFmpeg to generate the video, which is just an MP4 of the slide and the audio we just generated, and we create a video for every slide. And the final thing that we do is we concatenate or merge all the videos together into one file, which is the final output. So all that we're doing is using FFmpeg again. It's a different command this time. So it's before it was generating it's taking the image and taking the audio and generating an MP4. And in this case, it's just concatenating all the MP4s or output file. And you can call it whatever you want. Okay, here is the issues that I had with ImageMagick. So on the top, I just had to make sure that I increased the memory to 1 gig. I think it was 256 megs. And it worked a dream after that. I am on a fairly beefy laptop with an NVIDIA chip, but it's only a Core i7, so and it's a few years old, so it's not the best. But it is, it's a pretty hefty laptop. It's not a desktop, but it is pretty hefty laptop. And here, you just got to make sure that if it says in here, disable format types, that PNG isn't in here, because it won't work. PDF isn't in here because it won't be able to convert it to PNGs. Again, the before and afters, so if you want to play around with it, the one that I had before is 47 minutes. Like, we're up to what, 40 minutes now. By the time we're finished this evening, it's probably going to be 47 minutes. The re-recorded version, whenever I get around to that, will probably be closer to 10 or 15 minutes. I am genuinely impressed with ElevenLabs. The conversation, like I said, does sound a bit stilted. It sounds a bit like I'm reading it out, but a little less, well, kind of a lot less personality, but it's pretty good. And like I said, all of the errors I found were my errors and not ElevenLabs errors. Okay, caveats. It's still putting in ums and ahs. Human in the loop is really important. And because if you turn your brain off, you're going to find weird stuff. If you automate this and turn it into a pipeline and take all your videos and just re-record them and upload them into YouTube, you're going to get weird reviews of people saying, what the hell are you saying? I don't understand this. You have to check everything still. We're not there yet. Still lots of manual editing of the summaries. I think I might be able to get that better. That would probably be the one thing that I think I might be able to improve. A better prompt might get us there. But a lot of times YouTube doesn't get the transcript correctly, so you're working the garbage in, so you got to make sure that that's all fixed. So the costs, it was $99 a month for ElevenLabs. It's $10 a month for Gamma.app. And then OpenAI. And for what I did, it was the number of words was a couple of thousand, so you got 500,000 a month. You can do lots of videos for that. And then the OpenAI API, we call that for summaries, but that's getting so cheap now that it's kind of pennies on the dollar. I'm not worrying about it too much. Next steps. So more automation. I'm definitely going to go back to the well here and see if there's a way for me. First thing I want to figure out is, can I recognize when a slide changes so I don't have to do the Excel spreadsheet? I'm going to go and redo not the slides, the YouTubes with the most views. See if I can get them more professional. Try and get a bit more. We're doing really well on YouTube. Like, we're year on year, we're 50% up on everything. But I think, relatively speaking, we're still low numbers of subscribers. But I think that there's no reason why we couldn't do another 50% in the next year using this technique and getting us, interesting content. Because let's face it, we're doing meetups, putting them on YouTube, and people are still watching it. So if I can make it more YouTube friendly, I think we're going to get lots more views, which is the goal. And then Windows 11, not WSL. So WSL does run on Windows 11, but I don't think there's any reason why I can't do this on Windows 11. So if you see it changed, don't be surprised that we just moved the LibreOffice and ImageMagick to Windows 11. Cheaper options. I mentioned earlier that Mistral has a new product called Voxtral. So Voxtral is supposed to be a lot cheaper than ElevenLabs. There's a big race to the bottom on a lot of this stuff. I'm not sure if you can clone your own voice with Voxtral yet, but if not, I think there's bound to be other options coming out. And then the cool thing is you can do different languages. So let me have a look at that. So what I did was, where is my text to speech? So this is the first slide that I had. Building on my New Year's resolution. Okay. Building on my New Year's resolution. Don't be so pontificating. Okay, so now I just use Google Translate, but there's no reason why I couldn't use anything else here. So if we just go, let's do this. Let me go back into our text to speech. We get it to regenerate the speech. Sure, you can't hear that because it's just the way they're stream is set up. But what I did want to do is I wanted to drop this in here so you can hear what it sounds like in Spanish. My Spanish isn't great, but it sounds pretty plausible to me. So then that means that we can, reach bigger audiences. So it just doesn't have to be English. We can reach many different audiences. Another thing that I think would be interesting is more A/B testing. So do the same content with two different types of slides, or do one that has more dynamic content. So I was playing around with a couple of tools to generate videos. So if we put more dynamic content, would that make a difference? I don't really want to be living on YouTube, but I do want to get more viewers. So there's definitely ways to improve what we're trying to do. So just do simple A/B testing. Once you do the summaries, you can basically do this as many times as you like. And then, like I said, get some dynamic and content in there too as well. I'd like to see how that works. Resources, so ElevenLabs, that's cool. Gamma.app, there's the link for that. LibreOffice ImageMagick, and then the code is on GitHub if you want to play with it. If you have an issue with the code, open an issue on GitHub and I'll make sure that it gets fixed. And I really can't resist. So next month, we're going to look at ChatGPT agents and see what else we can automate. I spend a lot of my time in my day job trying to put myself out of work. So if ChatGPT agents will do whatever payroll commission stuff that I'm doing faster than what I have at the moment, we're using N8N, so I doubt it. But if there's other things that I can do where we're going to websites and doing stuff manually, I want to see if I can get that to work. So that's what we're going to do next month. Okay, so here's the ElevenLabs, ElevenLabs.io. Don't need Google Translate. Gamma.app is the one that I talked about. This is LibreOffice, ImageMagick, and then we have the before, which looks like this, and then the after is, for the YouTube audience. And I had really good fun doing this week, and hopefully you guys can take this and start playing with it. Okay, let me just stop presenting. And does anybody have any questions?
So, quick question: like, who inserted the and ahs back in? Was that ElevenLabs?
That was ElevenLabs. I couldn't believe it. They went straight back in there. It was like, what on earth? I didn't put anything in there. But I think
did your example voice that you gave them have ums and ahs?
Yeah, because that's what I do all the time. I go and ah. So
maybe yeah.
And I think what happened was I trained it on my own voice, and then when I trained it on my own voice, it knows that I do and ahs, so it basically just put them in at strategic places, which I thought was hilarious. Because I was asking I was working with an intern when I started this, and I said, why the hell has it got ums and ahs? And then I looked at the summary, and it wasn't there. But honestly, it's not that bad. It kind of, if you just play around with it and listen to it, it sounds better than I expected. I'm quite impressed with it. And that's the earlier version of the model for ElevenLabs. So when I get used to the ElevenLabs, let's see what it does.
Well, I know that.
Yeah, if I look at settings too as well, let me just show you this too as well. So there's a ton of settings that you can play with it here. So you have, there's whatever the different model is. So, okay, well, the V3 is alpha, so maybe I shouldn't be using that. I didn't like it at all. So it can go slower or faster. It can be more stable. It can be very similar or less similar. When I use the V3, it wasn't my voice at all. Or it can exaggerate my voice. So I don't know what that is. I don't even know what speaker boost is. Boost the similarity of the synthesized speech and the voice at the cost of some generation speed. Okay. So there's a lot of playing around that I need to do here to maybe get it to where I need to get it to. But yeah, I just did it again. I just said, no, I guess yeah, you're right. It just took my voice and strategically place them in there. Okay, sorry, Mike, I think I cut you off.
Yeah, Notebook. I know that Notebook LM added them in for their make a podcast thing to make it sound more natural. So it might just be part of the algorithm to actually put them in.
Yep.
Even if you don't want them.
Yeah, and the thing it did surprise me though was that when I created my voice, it wanted to hear my voice again to make sure that it was my voice that it was cloning. So they do have some security stuff in there, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear that. That is cool.
Yeah.
because you know it's not like security is a major concern of most of the AI companies at this point.
No, the
So you
floodgates are opened, and we're gonna figure it out.
you couldn't take a celebrity recording and do it off
Oh,
that.
you can. Yeah, there's like a lot of the
Mm.
voices. There are. I don't have it now, but there was an open source one which had a half a dozen voices for Biden, Trump, Robert De Niro, a couple other people. So yeah, there are engines out there that will do celebrity voices. But I think the the security thing here is more that you're trying to pretend to be somebody else and committing fraud. I think that's what the goal was here, to make sure that you couldn't get somebody's voice and then ring up the grandmother and try and ask them for $25, that kind of thing.
Yeah,
Hi,
I mean
Dad, I'm in jail, that kind of stuff.
that already happened to one of my family members, and we've already instituted code words because I'm super paranoid.
Mm-hmm.
So they know to ask
Good
when
idea.
weird stuff like that comes up. Yeah, we got like a favorite show that we watched years ago, and if I
That
don't
is
say
a really
that,
good idea. That's a good
yeah,
idea. I have to do that with my kids because, they don't live at home anymore. They're all grown up.
well,
Okay.
especially since you uploaded your voice. So
Oh,
it's
I'm
already-
I'm really glad my kids aren't techie, because they would just be messing me something rotten. Like if my dad did this, oh my God, I would just be messing with him from morning, noon, and night. It'd be so much fun. Anyway, I hope you guys play around with this. I had a lot of fun doing this, and I think it's really got some good legs for just trying to regenerate some content. So if you've got content that you think it'd be really good if you just updated a couple of things and throw it out there again, the way to go. It's all there. It's all ready. It's just you're trying to piece it together. To try and re-record this from scratch would just be such a nightmare. But to just basically take what you've already recorded and manipulate it and put it out there again, it's not hard.
yeah,
It's
think like corporate webinars or even like meetings over current things that you want to consolidate into a training video. This is probably a great
yep.
way to do that.
Yeah, or just take snippets with FFmpeg. In the past, FFmpeg was just a nightmare for everybody to use. But like I said, the best thing to do is just ask ChatGPT, and it'll give you the command line, and you won't have to worry about it.
I have another quick question.
Sure.
The slide would be, each slide only shows as long as it takes for your ElevenLabs technology to read through the summary, right?
Correct. You can put an extra second or two at the end if you want to, but I didn't bother because I was trying to keep it real tight. But yeah, it's just going to take as long as whatever it is that you put in your summary, in your redacted summary.
Any other questions? I have one. Why did you convert to PDF first? Was there a reason? Did you need PDF outside of
I was trying to get it to
generating?
PNGs, and I couldn't get it to PNGs without going to PDFs first. So basically what I did is I had ImageMagick will take PDFs and slice it to PNGs. So I had to get the LibreOffice to get the PowerPoint to PDF.
So LibreOffice would only go PDF, it wouldn't go PNG per slide?
No, it wouldn't.
That's annoying.
Because LibreOffice basically just takes the whole PowerPoint and turns it into a giant PDF. And then ImageMagick takes the giant PDF and turns it into individual PNGs.
Okay, second question. Are
Sure.
you reading the slide notes? Because often, I know because I do the articles off of these presentations, you put in your slide notes, and that actually really helps guide what the article content in that section should be.
A future version of this, I think what I would do is always put what I'm going to say in the slide notes when I'm making it, and then just use that for the text afterwards. I think that would be the version. But I had a problem with, in the past, I was using Python library to read the Python files, and I couldn't get the notes out. So I do have to check to see if LibreOffice will do that for me, but I don't.
Well, check my code for I have it working for PowerPoint for the article generator. So we did that presentation.
Well, there you go. I'll
there.
steal that, and then Rev 2 will have that in it.
Cool.
Because that would definitely remove one of the longer manual processes, which is the manual thing, which just takes forever. But
yeah, it also creates temp poles for the content creation, so that it doesn't get too far off.
But the other thing is when you do a presentation like this, you realize as you're doing it and as you're redoing it that you could do it so much better. So a lot of the points
Mhm.
that you kind of the French say l'esprit d'escalier, so it's like, you try to say a witty comment, but you remember it the staircase outside. A lot of what you do as you're doing a presentation, you think, oh, I should have said that. So this gives you the chance to actually go back to fix what you've done and add the points in a more professional way that you should have done the first time. So yeah, I think it's great. Yeah. All right. I got nothing else. Have a good evening, guys. Thanks for coming.
See y'all later. Just a
Sweet.
reminder,
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
gonna do the last slide.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah,
Oh, all right.
yeah, no, it's good. Go, Brian.
Yeah.
I don't want to cut you off.
No, I was just saying thank you.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
so just remember to watch us on YouTube. You can see all of our past stuff, and currently Godfrey will be uploading, I guess, these new shortened versions. We also have the articles on the Reese blog, which are article versions. So we've got a full AI content pipeline here. Whatever the content that comes in, we could turn it into some other medium. Really exciting stuff. And the last slide is going to give you a QR code if you want to join our mailing list. Just in case. That's it for tonight. Our mailing list. Uh, just in case. That's it for tonight. Our mailing list.